Well, hello and welcome to the PMQ live update for today, Tuesday, January 19th. This is our first live update in the new year. We're trying to get that dumpster fire of 2020 behind us and move on to bigger, better things. I'm joined by my good friend, U.S. Pizza team member, owner of Maggi's Pizzas and Subs, Blues Pizza Truck, and Blues Barbecue Company, Mr. Patrick Maggi of Maryland. Say hello to the world, Patrick.
Hello, world. How's everybody doing out there?
Well, I can hear them now. They're all saying we're doing great, Patrick. Great to see you.
Sweet.
So I want to let everybody know, and I'll remind you guys again that you can ask your questions here live of Patrick or myself. Today we're going to be talking about mobile units and maybe some of the success that you can get with mobile units as offsetting your brick and mortar. Just kind of some of the successes that Patrick has had in the past year. And we're going to kind of move forward with that. But first off, why don't you give you like a minute and a half to tell us who you are and what you do, Patrick?
Patrick Maggi, live in Maryland. Opened up Pasquale's Pizzeria originally, and we switched our name a couple years later due to some other competition around. But grew up in a restaurant. My father had a pizzeria, grew up in it, and I moved to California, lived out there. Did some great things out there cooking, learned a lot, came back to the East Coast, opened up Blues Barbecue 2003, still going strong today. And 2010, opened up another pizzeria with my family, and the rest is history.
Well, and I remember that. Actually, that was the trip up there with our then editor Liz Barrett up to your place visiting Pasquale's when it was Pasquale's and not Maggi's. Yep. But the Blues Barbecue Truck, that was some good stuff. That was the first time I'd ever had coleslaw on a barbecue sandwich. And don't yell at me because I was from the Midwest at the time. So, but now that's standard. I give you that much.
Standard. That's crazy.
So Pasquale De Maio, U.S. Pizza team member, also says, hello, guys. Again, you can comment here and get your questions answered live. But I think at this point, we're just kind of jump into it and hear about your story, your harrowing adventure through 2020. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you, the audience, have some questions, feel free to chime in, and we'll make sure that we get them up there. I did also in the comments put all the links to all the various pages, Facebook pages, and websites for his pizza and barbecue empire up there in Maryland. So feel free to check those out and maybe place an order if you're in the area. So, all right, man. Question one: what was the first pivot that you had to make in your brick and mortar? Which I'm not sure. I guess it was Maggi's at the time. So, What was the first pivot that you had to do in Maggi's Pizzas and Subs Damascus?
Well, I think we were pretty fortunate. We were set up for carry out and delivery. That's all we did. We didn't have a sit down place. So when COVID struck and all the lockdown started, we actually saw a big increase in business. So there was never really a pivot in the brick and mortar. We just really we found that when you did the social distancing and kept the mask on, people in the community really said, "Hey, go to that place. They've got their mask on." I guess a lot of people weren't taking it serious in the beginning, but once the word got out that we were keeping our mask on and making pizzas, it was insane. 2020 showed a 26% increase in business.
So you think it was just mainly about being responsible and showing that you are responsible and care about your customer safety as well as your employee safety?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had a lot of pushback from the employees in the beginning, family members, nephews. But once they realized that, people were complaining and, they're like, well, we can't come back. And once that started hitting, like the first complaint, that was it. I'm like, everybody mask up. We're not going to lose customers to this thing. We're going to beat it. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. And I guess maybe a follow-up question is, was it easier to quash the pushback from family members or from just regular employees? I mean, did the family members fight harder because they felt that?
Oh yeah, they always fight harder. But when you just say, "Hey, I'm not making you wear the mask," the county's making you wear the mask. The government's making you wear the mask. If you want to complain to them. But here we have to just abide by the rules and just get through this.
All right. Well, that's it's very reasonable or a session to make of it, and just let them know. It's like, hey, write a letter to your congressman or something.
Exactly.
But again, I do encourage everybody, even to this day, to still wear masks when you're out. It's hitting everybody, and it's hitting everybody hard, and it's coming back. It's doing this full circle thing. It's learning. It's adapting. It's the AI. It is the singularity.
And it's
learning our weaknesses.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter if you believe in it. It doesn't matter. The customer believes in it. You got to believe in it. If the customer believes in it, so it's not anything personal. It's just, think about your customer and what they want you to do.
Well, I think that's a great takeaway right there, is that it's even regardless if you believe or not, if your customer does, they're the ones who are giving you your income and your revenue.
Exactly.
So you want to keep them happy for sure. So, All right. Well, next question then. When and why did you decide to get the pizza truck? Because you already had a Blues. So basically, Blues Barbecue is really kind of a stationary trailer, right? And then you got a food truck for that as well.
Right. So we started with a food truck and then added the trailer. And the food truck basically was just to do some catering when people would come up. Catering was not a big part of our business at all. I always believed that if it was good enough, people would come. And it worked for, 10, 12 years with that motto. And then once the breweries and wineries started opening up, wineries first, once the wineries started opening up, it was really kind of my older brother that bought the pizza truck that I have now. And he started going to wineries. And, it was just, my brother isn't a big weekend worker. And if you want to have a mobile food truck, you have to work the weekends or have a good crew or staff that will work. So the barbecue truck started going to the breweries, and then about 3 years ago, my brother decided that he didn't want to do it anymore, and so I took the pizza truck and just massively just created something that we tripled our sales probably from 2018 to now, which is awesome.
That's a pizza truck?
And that's a combination of the pizza and barbecue truck. The thing with the barbecue truck is everybody has a barbecue truck in a barbecue restaurant now. When I first opened in 2003, unless you lived in the South, like there wasn't anything on the side of the road here in the Northeast, besides where, your anomalies. But so that motto worked. I mean, we built a tremendous business with just the barbecue and staying stationary. And then once the pizza truck got added, I created a special menu for the pizza truck. Mostly, I don't want to use the word gourmet, but like we have a pierogi pizza, we have a prosciutto pear. We do more specialty pizzas, all 10-inch pizzas. It's been awesome.
So you guys don't do any like large or medium pizzas? It's all 10-inch. Do people kind of get tired of that, or how does that affect the business?
Well, it's funny. Like I think in our brick and mortar, if we would have started with 10-inch, I think people would have got used to it maybe. But when you're competing with Domino's, Papa John's, and Pizza Hut, like you could see all three from our front window. And this is like our brick and mortars in the suburbs where you have families and they don't want to spend $100 every time they get pizza. So we had to do the 14-inch and the 10-inch at our brick and mortar. With the pizza truck, it was just a whole different philosophy. It was we want to sell each person a pizza. We don't want them to share their pizza. If they could get two and share it, that's fine. But the whole philosophy with everybody getting their pizza, and it's worked. Rarely do we have one person come up or two people come up and say, "Can we split a pizza?" They usually get two pizzas, it's double the sales right there.
Well, okay, so they tend to order more, or even if a guy my size, I'm like, 10 inches is, that's not a big enough pizza. I'm going to get two. But I guess it maybe also goes along with the thing about being safe in this time right now, not sharing your food,
right?
Handling the same dish with somebody else, even though you might know that person, either coworker or family member. But and so then, so this is the pizza truck. I'm going to go ahead and show this here real quick. We got some more angles of it. So this is what came about. This is the Blues pizza truck. an offshoot of Blues Barbecue Company, but also incorporating pizza recipes from Maggi's Pizza and Subs. So it's kind of a trifecta of pizza and barbecue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will. Most of the time, when we're doing bigger catered events, we'll offer something other than pizza and wings. We have pizza and wings on the pizza truck, but we'll offer barbecue if they want. But it's pretty much 90. If they want the if they want the pizza truck, they want pizza, and if they want the barbecue truck, they want barbecue. It's really, it's 90% of the time it sticks with the menu. And then some people want a little bit of variety, for different types of things.
Well, I was looking at the menu or the website, I think I think it was the Blues Barbecue Company, the trailer, and you guys have pizza in that. Do you?
No, nope, don't have pizza
so I
in
must
that. Maybe
okay.
So. Now, when I had a restaurant in Roanoke, Virginia, that I sold, and we had pizza in there, and we had the number one pizza in Roanoke, selling a barbecue chicken pizza and a margarita pizza. It was interesting.
Well, it says it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next thing then is, what is one of the first things that people should kind of plan for or do when opening a mobile unit? Do you have a to-do list that maybe you figured out that would make everybody else's job easier if they're trying to do this at this point?
Well, I think the number one pit that people fall into is that they go out and get a home equity line for $150,000 and they have a truck built. And there's so much inventory on the market right now. If you have 25 or 30 grand cash, you could buy a truck. I think that people watch that movie Chef and they think that it's just all fun and games. And really,
yep.
Everybody listening to this thing, they know that the restaurant it's very rewarding, but it's a lot of hard work and a lot of long hours. So somebody who's not used to working a lot of hours, they get a food truck and they're working 80 hours a week and they're like, wow, I'm making about $8 an hour right now. They lose interest. And so yeah. I think the biggest pitfall would be if you think about wanting to open one, I would just go look for used inventory. The health codes, everybody knows the health codes that are just they're out there for guidance. And if you buy something that's not going to work in your county, as long as the hood is correct, I don't think you have a big issue with fixing anything else. The health departments, they definitely want you to submit plans and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, if you say, hey, I bought this unit and, we want you to come and inspect it, they'll just tell you what to do. It's just a lot more loops to jump through if you start at the health department.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. So that kind of leads me to some questions I was going to ask a little bit later, but are there a lot more severe regulations or mandates for mobile units, maybe just today than there was, a couple years ago? Or is it, you said the kind of guidelines, obviously I hope they're out there enforcing that and they're not just
for sure
giving everybody a license, but
is
it more severe?
Well, it's definitely tougher to get a license now because so many people doing it. I don't really understand why there are a lot of places that don't make serve safe a requirement. The county I'm in, you don't have to be serve safe certified. It's kind of scary, but I think with the food trucks and getting them out there, it's always a little tougher because they look at it as a high, I don't know what they call it in my county, but it's like a high risk. It's a high risk. So you get inspected. Mm-hmm. I get inspected 3 times a year where my brick and mortar gets inspected twice.
Oh, okay. Well, good. And honestly, that makes me feel a lot better too, that they are, because this thing travels around a lot and who knows, versus your brick and mortar standing still with the doors and the walls, this could garner some more, just gather more dirt and bugs and stuff.
Yeah,
I got to stop talking because I'm turning people off of mobile units right now. I'm sorry.
No, the crazy thing is that we've never seen any kind of bug problem in any of my food trucks. It's just like a restaurant. If you keep it clean,
yeah,
they're not going to come and stay because there's no food for them. If you're dirty, they probably would like to move in and hang out. But
is it? Was it harder to adhere to the mandated regulations in a food truck? Or, I mean, because it's easy at the brick and mortar because everything's just right there. You have more space to move around. Is it harder to actually maintain these standards in a food truck or a mobile unit, I like to say?
I think you just have to be organized because, you have gray water. So the gray water's got to go to the gray water home and not outside on the ground.
Okay.
And there, storage, like you have to have a base of operations. And now with more food trucks becoming more popular, now DOT's starting to sniff around. And, they're like, well, wait a minute, you're traveling, you're commercial, so if you live like close to 3 states like I do, West Virginia, Virginia, Maryland, it's only 30 minutes from me, all 3 states. So technically you have to have a DOT interstate license to go to that other state. Nobody really does, but I see driving home at night, I see a lot of food trucks and trailers pulled over now. So like there's little things, like if you're 10,000 pounds and under, you're good to go. But 10,000 pounds and over, then, you got to be a DOT inspected and regulated.
Well, and then you said that it's good to have a home base. Again, we're kind of hopping around in the questions, and I'm keeping track.
Sorry.
Though. No, that's fine. As far as like even like prepping for ingredients and stuff. I mean, is that something should somebody kind of build out their mobile unit so that they can do all the prep in that mobile unit, or is it better to have a home base, be it maybe your own brick and mortar or another restaurant that you have a friendly relationship with and you use it in their off hours?
Yeah, the home base. I mean, if you're having a hard time finding a home base, usually churches have commercial kitchens, and they're pretty nice about that. But it depends state to state because, for instance, in Virginia, you're not allowed to prep anything on that food truck. Everything has to come cooked. So if I happen to go to Virginia with the pizza truck, I'm kind of in a gray area there because you can't really reheat pizza and serve it. But I don't do a lot in Virginia for that reason. I do mostly Maryland, West Virginia.
So is there a difference? Let's just say maybe you take the barbecue truck up there where you can maybe pre-cook the barbecue and then just reheat it. Are you allowed to reheat?
No, technically no in Virginia, but I mean,
wow, okay.
But you're supposed to bring it in a hot box, and then when you get there, you're supposed to have it in something that will keep it to temp.
Okay.
It's really almost impossible to do it, honestly.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because if there's somewhere in a small state like you in Delaware or close to a border where you might be crossing state borders, you got to know the regulations for 2 or 3 different states at that point, whether or not it's even worth your time to cross that line. So
yeah, I think a lot of people are probably in different situation than I am because a lot of people if you're in Chicago, I guess you could drive to Wisconsin if you wanted to, but there's plenty of places in Illinois to stay within the state.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, Gino and Bruno dragging a wood-fired oven behind the truck.
Yeah, I can just imagine that trip. Our brothers on the U.S. Pizza team from Panino's, Gino, Bruno, and Lenny. That would be quite an adventure.
Absolutely.
All right, seems slowing down a little bit. I think it might be my internet here, but we're going to keep going on. If I lose you, Patrick, just jump out and come back in, and just if you lose me, I'll do the same. Okay. I wanted to say one of the questions I had was like, what are the biggest hurdles to watch for in opening a mobile unit? You might have answered some of this, but what was like the main thing? It looked like you were talking about getting that loan, maybe just looking for, especially at this point, there's a lot of used items on the market, be it equipment or vehicles. Mm-hmm. But it's like one of the biggest hurdles because you've opened a couple. What's the biggest hurdles?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that if you don't have a brick and mortar already established and you're just opening a food truck, I think you should definitely do some marketing before you open the food truck, because there are a lot of food trucks, and get some gigs before you open it, because driving around and parking in a parking lot doesn't work. Neighborhoods have become a huge part of our business. I would never think that pulling into a neighborhood would be such a huge part of our business, but we pull into a neighborhood at 4 o'clock, and by 8 o'clock we've made 200 10-inch pizzas, and it's just like it's the people just really want to support. If it's good pizza, obviously, they just want to support you. And the other food trucks that go there's some Mexican taco trucks. They do well. It's just a whole different thing. Like it's like cool to go to the food truck and support the food truck.
Well, and you just mention that having a home base and maybe doing some catering gigs through your home base with that kind of menu. That actually leads into the next question very nicely, which I had is like, if you go about getting a mobile unit, should you make it an extension of your brick and mortar, or should you market it as its own entity, or just make this like your roving unit for that brick and mortar?
Well, I think you should connect them, definitely. Here, it's a little bit different for me because I'm about 25 miles away from the base. My base is in Damascus, Maryland, and my trucks are in Frederick, Maryland, which is about 25 minutes away. We do get a lot of people that come into the deli, ask for catering, and it would go right to Blues Barbecue or the Blues Pizza Truck. However, if you had a brick and mortar, I mean, it would almost be too easy. The pizza weddings have been unbelievable. I turned them down. I was thinking about making a new pizza truck because having a food truck at your wedding is the coolest thing now. And so the pizza truck, I mean, I've done 5, maybe 6 weddings now with the pizza truck. And one thing we do that kind of specialize in, which is cool, is that we have the pizza pans engraved with the bride and groom's name. And so like we usually serve out of boxes at the breweries and wineries, but for a wedding we serve on a 10-inch pan, probably a 11-inch. I think I bought 11-inch, had them engraved, and they kept them. And they just love that. They like that little bit of service.
Yeah, no, that's definitely that's a really cool way to. I mean, yeah, in my wedding there'll probably be a pizza truck or some kind of pizza catering. I'm sure. I don't know if not sure where and when it will be, but if you can make it, you're invited.
Hey, sure.
You can maybe even play at it too. So
yeah.
But how do you go about marketing this new entity such as a pizza truck? So you've already got an established base for your brick and mortar. How do you go about marketing the pizza truck? I mean, do you just drive it around social media? Do you just place it in front of the brick and mortar to gain visibility? Do you like chuck pieces of pizza at the people walking by?
So all of the above. I think I had mentioned to you before that Nick Bogots was thinking about buying this pizza truck from me because my brother, I didn't know if I wanted to get into it because I had so much going on. And so I told Nick, said, well, I'm thinking about opening my next location. I said, what's better than having the pizza truck out in front of the new location and, on a Friday giving away free samples or something, or selling it out of that. It's a great way to get people to try your pizza. And the pizza truck's there. And plus, when you have a great pizza place and people love your pizza, I mean, the catering will just will come. Like everybody listening to this who knows about catering and having great food, they know that people just want it.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like it's, like you said, a mixture of word of mouth and visibility and just having already maybe even created a name for yourself. Mm-hmm. Which is more beneficial in your opinion? Is it just having scheduled mobile unit locations where it's like, hey, you tweet out or whatever, we're going to be at this place at this time, or is it going for the catered events, or just a mixture of both? I mean, because again, like I like how you brought up chef, because again, yes, I was in that group of I'm like, oh, that looks awesome, and I realized I'm like, yes, that's going to be a lot of work, but I mean, it aside from that show where they just drive around to city, mm-hmm. I mean, what are your options on that?
Well, that would probably be nearly impossible to do that because of sorry, I got to straighten this out. It'd be nearly impossible because the health departments of those states would hunt you down and wait for you, I'm sure.
Right.
And they want you to collect your taxes too, so you can pay their taxes. So, but the most beneficial for us, which has really turned my business completely around, has been finding big companies like Sam's Club, like Aldi, finding their distribution centers and going there, getting in. I made so many phone calls trying to find this. It just didn't come. But you find the HR person, get in there. They want to feed the employees. We were doing sometimes 1,000 employees a week, which just the food trucks had no problem during COVID. I kept everybody working the last 2 years because we'd have these humongous caterings. It was a blessing. And so the catered events like that, it's different from catering a wedding and catering doing something like that. A wedding, you can $3,000-4,000, but when you're feeding 1,000 people, you're talking $10,000-15,000. And when they do it 3 times a month, and you get 3 different businesses giving that business, it's just a game changer.
Well, and that's kind of leading me kind of into the next question that I had. I mean, we already kind of talked about it. It's like, what kind of different catered events do you get and shoot for, and how do you get them? And you pretty much said that you're pounding the pavement. You're calling these guys. I mean, you've already gotten weddings, and it sounds like you're looking at some big corporations. Are there any other ones that you've gotten, and what is like the best way to get them? Is it just, again, that word of mouth, or should you be calling these guys, walking through? Steve Green always says this, and I think it's genius. He's like, the best way to get into any building is walk in there holding pizzas and pretend like you're a pizza delivery guy. They let you in.
Yeah, they really do. So my business in Frederick's been around since 2003. So we've built a great reputation for catering. I always try to be at every catering personally, believe it or not. Sometimes I can't, but if I can be there, it's just the owner's touch that people really appreciate. Great employees are always a plus as well. I have a couple awesome employees now, but just really the food trucks, the pizza truck, the barbecue truck, having a prepaid gig when you leave your house in the morning and you're going to bring in a couple $1,000s is way better than going to a brewery and thinking it's going to be busy today. You got to worry about the weather. You got to worry about COVID. You got to worry about everything these days. But even the breweries at 50% capacity in Maryland, I sold 110 pizzas on Sunday, this past Sunday, and it surprised me. It was 40 degrees outside.
Are the breweries, are the ones you're getting, are they for the employees? Or are they is it like for
no,
customers
that's we're selling to order when we go to the breweries and wineries. So
okay.
I rarely, and this is the biggest piece of advice I give anybody trying to open a food truck, is I rarely do anything anymore without it being prepaid besides the wineries and breweries. Because if somebody says, hey, come to the neighborhood, we have 1,000 people. I've heard it 1,000 times, and most of the time nobody comes. So, we say, okay, well, you guarantee us, $500 and we'll come out. And then if we have a great day, there's a number, we'll give you your $500 back.
Yeah. Well, and that was going to be my next question. Actually, I don't think I made a graphic for it, but it was, how important is prepaid? And I don't want to even say like in today's society, but just in general, because I mean, you get a promise by somebody that there's going to be this many people at this party, and then there's not. And you've put in all this prep, so it's not even your time and your labor. It's all maybe even food waste at that point too. So, yeah,
with weddings, especially now, we decide. I tell them if they say there's going to be 150 guests, I say, okay, well, if I'm going to put this in the calendar, it's for 150 guests, and that's what you're paying for. I said, if the next 2 weeks or a month or whatever time we agree on that you're going to change, that's fine, but it can't change 3 weeks before. Well, we only have 40 people now, because it's just not worth anybody's time. And that's, you have to make money in this business. You can't just, once you go out there and you don't make money 10 times, you start thinking, wow, this food truck thing isn't for me. And that's what happens.
All right. So what is, I got a couple more questions here. What is like one of the the hardest things that you learned after opening a mobile unit? Maybe just say even like Blue's barbecue truck or even the trailer. What's like one of the, you overlooked it and you realized that, damn, that was really important and it's on your list to take care of first?
Well, I try to think.
I guess this,
when we first,
well, I was going to say, I guess this goes along with my next, I'm sorry, it goes along with the next question. What is one super aspect of opening that people tend to omit? So I guess it's the same question right there, but what is that hardest thing you learned after the fact?
I was very fortunate, but I think the one thing that people overlook is they just think that the people are going to come, and they don't really think about numbers. They just think about, oh, I've got the best food and people are going to come and it's going to be awesome. And those are great things to think about. However, in reality, you have to worry about the numbers and actually how the people are going to come. We've had in Maryland since COVID, we've had 17,000 food trucks open up in the last year. And I mean, I only see the same 6 food trucks where I'm at. So I don't know where all these food trucks are. Maybe they're in Baltimore. I'm not sure. But if you go on Craigslist and eBay and Facebook, I mean, there are a lot of food trucks for sale. So I think the biggest problem is that, which would be nice if you have a brick and mortar, because I mean, gracious, you can advertise it for 6 months before you even open the thing up, and say we're going to have a food truck and we're going to be at this brewery, and now you don't have to go so far. If you're on a different side of town, you're going to a different side of town. People don't have to drive. So I think having a brick and mortar and then adding a food truck, I think that's even better than the situation I have.
All right. No, I like that. I mean, and that it kind of goes back to a point we made earlier about establishing yourself before you go off into this offshoot that should be kind of a roving branch of this main company. So, all right. Does having a mobile unit, is there a synergy? And I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, but I have to ask it. This is why they pay me. Is there a synergy between the two entities when you start the brick and mortar and then you have the mobile unit? Does the brick and mortar drive a business to your mobile unit and vice versa?
Yeah, I think so. In my situation where we have 2 different restaurant names, it's still like I'll bring my barbecue truck down to the pizzeria in Damascus for the Super Bowl. And the first year I did it, I sold 25 racks of ribs. I sold out. Second year I sold 50 racks of ribs, sold out. Third year, 75. Last year, 100. So this year I'm going to do like 150 racks, and hopefully we'll sell them all. But we've had calls 2 months ago. Is that truck going to be at the thing with the ribs? And that creates great synergy because they know that we have great food at the pizzeria. So they just assume that the food's going to be great at the barbecue truck, even if they haven't tried it. And thank God it is good. I would say that, just be honest with yourself and take all the pride out of it. I've seen so many people open up restaurants, pizzerias, blah, blah, blah. And they just think that it's the best food. And it's a shame because they just had their wife and their mother and their brother saying, hey, this is great, let's open it. But you get in there and you're like, man, like you just like hire a consultant if you need to, like it's pretty easy. Like, I don't know, Brian, we could say that the people watching, I mean, you make your pizza, it's great pizza, and you think it's pretty easy. But I mean, I've gone to some places that it's kind of, it's just not that good. And you just have to wonder who told you, like I don't know, you know what I mean?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you got to go outside your I don't want to say your comfort zone, but just your social bubble, because your friends are gonna love you. I mean, my mom, I'm the bee's knees to her. And I can make anything, and she's gonna love it.
Right.
Do I want her judging on whether or not I should open a restaurant? Probably not, because she would be my only customer.
And I forgot to say, which we didn't cover through there, but the online ordering for the food trucks is just amazing. We're doing a new neighborhood tomorrow. First time. They have 1,000 homes, and we have about 24 pre-orders for lunch tomorrow. And that's like money in the bank already. And it's not Wednesday yet. So
Yeah.
online ordering is huge. People, I just see it like people are just pretty lazy. They just like if they're on that phone. So like capture the phone, go after the phone business because they just want to make it easy. We just incorporated. We've always used Square, so we incorporated Square online. It's an easy system. It works. We get a lot of compliments how easy it was to order. There's no surcharge to the customer, which is awesome. So that is one big thing. The online orders, made a huge difference as well.
Well, that's great. And this is can go along with when you're advertising, well, where and when you're going to be. And and then Jim, I appreciate all your comments again too. And he says he believes the food truck is a great idea during this pandemic. The cost for the food truck and support may be a tough nut to chew, but it seems like a new avenue for sales. And people who like your pizza may increase your B&M sales, your brick and mortar sales. So 100%. And that's kind of what I was trying to see if that's been true for you. I've heard it be true for other people. Now that if people do it and they do it wrong, it might not always be the case. But if you do it and you have care about your brand and your product and your customers, I think you can use this as that revenue stream to keep you going and keep your employees paid and yourself paid as well. So
absolutely. And another thing I'd want to mention to anybody thinking about a pizza truck, I am a wood-fired oven guy. I've always been. I'm sorry, not wood-fired, brick oven. Sorry, not wood-fired, brick oven.
I was going to say.
Sorry. And I use an impinger. We have a impinger in the pizza truck, and for volume and for ease, get an impinger. Get one if you got to get three and stack them. It just makes a world of difference. You don't have a lot of room in a pizza truck to open the door, and wood fire pizzas are great, but we all know the problems. How the oven is very temperamental. If you don't have it at the right temperature. White bottoms and black tops. Most wood fireplace I go to, if if they know what they're doing when you get a pizza that's cooked right. But man, 75% of them, you get a white bottom, and it goes out. So the impinger has been great. We could do 300 10-inch pizzas in an hour when we feed 1,000 people, and they want everybody fed in 2 hours, 3 hours. You have to be able to create that volume. You have to be built for it. And
well, it's kind of a compromise on what you. I don't want to say the quality of what you want to do, but what you're used to doing. But I mean, obviously you got that impinger and you fine-tuned or honed your recipe to make sure that it works at the volume. I'm sure at one day you just sent through 20 pizzas to see how it works at a high volume type thing.
Yep.
So there is that kind of. You also have to put in that work besides just saying, "Well, I work on a brick oven. I'm going to get an impinger." There's still more work to be done to tweak that recipe for that. And wood-fired, I mean, I've seen wood-fired mobile units as well, and it's great. That's a lot of work too.
It is a lot of work.
Volume's crazy. That volume and speed is crazy on that. I mean, speed actually comes with being a wood-fired, but just there's that extra cost of the wood as well, and then oven tending, so that's a little bit more time and labor.
Absolutely.
These are just observations for me because I've never actually run any of these. So
yeah, well, I think that people who go strictly wood fired, like they really have to spend time training the people working the oven, because that's more than half of the pizza coming out. If that part isn't done perfect, then there's no reason to have a wood fired oven.
No, absolutely, yeah, and that's another thing. When I was a general manager too, people think they could just sit at the end of a conveyor and just pull the pie out and not look at it, turn it, or push it back a little. It's not just called oven watching; it's called oven tending for a reason.
Yeah,
and it's amplified when you're trying to cook with wood-fired ovens. So, but I mean, I think that's a great tip, though. You can compromise in the way you cook it, but don't compromise in your quality. Make sure that you get that same quality coming out, even if you have to do this for volume and convenience, because that's what you need. And even space footprint, inside inside your mobile unit, you might not have room for a big old dome and things like that.
And a peel, like knocking the guy in the back of the head, making the pizza. You know,
yeah, I've seen them in the big ass pizzerias too. Do that? I mean, they have the 10-foot long peel. They're just smacking guys in the back of the head.
Yeah. And we finish a lot of our pizzas. There's a whole we finish every pizza that comes out. There's rarely a pizza that comes out that doesn't get something on it. Fresh veggies, cilantro,
Like
basil, arugula.
Oh, okay.
And you wouldn't believe. Like, I had a lady come up the other day and say, "I can't believe I got fresh cilantro on a pizza," and I'm like. She's like, why did you don't? I would expect dry, and I said, well, it's just a little touch that makes a difference. And see, now you love it. It's kind of funny. People, the little things that we take for granted as pizziolas, people just aren't used to it. And they're just amazed that what cilantro could do. That's a cheeseburger pizza there with pickles on it. That's one of our big sellers. That's one of our big sellers when we do it. We don't do it all the time. But when we do it, people love that pizza.
Yeah, but I know I like what you're saying. Like after bake finishers here, this looks like some chives or
chives, yeah,
green onion
chives on there. Yeah, chives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah, it's those little touches, like you said. It's that added extra care and care in your quality of your product.
Absolutely.
Because ultimately, you have to ask yourself, would I eat this before you send it out?
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Early on in my career, when I was just an oven watcher, I would be like, put it in there. And they're like, would you eat that pizza? Sure. And the guy was, no, you wouldn't. You're a liar.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, you have to have that. I mean, that goes along with getting involved in the community, because now that person's going to go and talk to somebody else. Are there other ways that you have gotten involved in the community, or that you would say that other ways that you can get involved in a community through a food truck?
Well, I think going to the breweries and the wineries has really just like the HOA person will go to the winery, and then next thing you know, I get a phone call. I haven't tried to get into the neighborhoods at all. They've all contacted me. I just think that it's just an extension of being at the winery and brewery. They had the pizza. They loved it. They're like, hey, we're going to start doing these things in our neighborhood. And don't dismiss the neighborhoods. It's a captive audience, and it's crazy. Like they just come and come and come and keep coming. You just wouldn't believe that all these people are going to support you. But it's important that they have a Facebook page in their neighborhood. They know what's going on. We did a neighborhood that didn't have that, and it was half the sales from the other one. It was just word of mouth. But if they had a Facebook page, we do one regularly, and every time we go there, it's the same thing. It's madness for about 5 hours.
All right. Well, and I want to encourage everybody to get your final questions or comments in here. We're getting ready to wrap up. Just have a few more questions. But I did want to say, is there any kind of benefit to, and again, when we can do these things safely, going out to your the high school football games, especially in a small area where you're at, go to the high school football games, or if you're in a college town, the tailgate area, get yourself out there, make sure that you're available those days for that, just to be involved in the community, and then staying visible, I guess. I mean, I think the question would be, is that been brought down a lot since this whole pandemic? I mean, is there a lot of that available or not?
Well, it used to be available, and then something happened with, the schools really pretty much want you to donate, 50 pizzas every Friday. Right. And, it's tough to donate, and they can get Domino's to donate 50 pizzas for nothing. Domino's will do it because they have that marketing. So we lost some high school venues just because you can't donate 50 pizzas every Friday or every other Friday. It's just, for a small business, it's just really hard. Okay. We were charging at $1.5 for, I think, a 16-inch pizza, and Domino's said they'd do it for $4, so they went with Domino's.
Oh, of course.
It's like because they want the bang for their buck. But it used to be really different. People really cared about the quality, and then I guess at some point, once Domino's just starts giving them away, it's hard to. They can have that business. They can
Yeah.
have the
What
business
about
to
just showing up? Just showing up over there? Any special regulations as far as like going to a game and sitting in the parking lot, or
Yeah, the county has regulations, and
okay,
they don't. It's just for health reasons mainly because they don't know if you're licensed, and
got
um,
it.
but there are special events like homecoming and stuff. They ask for the barbecue truck or the pizza truck. So there are times,
Okay.
and there's so many angles, but the number one touchdown is finding a big corporation that is going to feed their employees because they will prepay, and you know exactly what you're going to make, and you know what the bottom line is before you even get there, and that's the best.
Well, all right. There, yeah. I mean, just I mean, better than a sure shot, versus
Mhm.
that long call. So, all right, I got another question here, and then I'm gonna have need your positive affirmation for the world. But so, what is harder in a mobile unit? Is it barbecue or pizza?
Barbecue, for sure. Uh,
Why is that? This is just for me, guys. By the way, I
well,
just want to know.
the labor is so intense. Plus the price of brisket has gone through the roof ever since Bobby Flay started cooking brisket on the Food Network and Guy Fieri. So I used to pay $1 $49 for brisket, and I think that was for a whole brisket. Now they're $3.50, $4, and then if you get a flat, you're paying $5-6. So the profit's gone down, the labor, it's ribs have been the same price. The poor rib guy, the ribs have been the same price for 20 years. I'm still paying $5-6 a rack. So you can make money with ribs, but with pulled pork, you got to smoke it, you got to pull it, right so there's not gristle in it. It's just more labor intensive. Where pizza is, you got dough and you got sauce, and
On the time, yeah, on the time, and actually, smoking it and getting it all
yeah,
just delicious.
yeah. I mean, they're charging $23 a pound for brisket right now. Most places, I'm charging 19, and I still feel terrible for charging 19. But it's just everybody is a barbecue guy now, and so we're kind of
Yeah.
pivoting, from barbecue. There's 3 pizza trucks that I know of in my vicinity, and there's about 16 barbecue trucks. So
Wow.
it's crazy. Like there's some breweries that only want the barbecue, and we go there and we crush it. But it is more labor intensive with barbecue for sure. Especially if you we make our own barbecue sauce. We make 3 different types of sauce. We do fresh cut fries. We make slaw. And if you
Yeah.
make it all, it's tough. If you buy it all, it's easy. But if you make it all, it's tough.
No, I remember the fries, and I was wanting to know the seasoning on that. We don't have to give it out here, but you said I could know. And I asked the guy at the trailer, and he wouldn't tell me. I said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Patrick said you should tell me," but I found it out. But yeah, like I said, that was some of the best barbecue I'd had. Now coleslaw is standard on any barbecue sandwich I have. It's a lot of great food. I like all the 2 concepts and how they're kind of married together through 3 different entities. Technically 4, I guess. 2 mobile units and 2. I don't know if you want to call the trailer a brick and mortar because it's stationary. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's crazy. I could do 500 people out of that thing if I had a wedding. I could. It's the guy that built that thing was thinking grandiose because it is set up for volume. That's for sure.
Well, I highly recommend anybody up in the Damascus, Frederick, Maryland area to go and visit Patrick Maggi at Maggi's Pizza and Subs Damascus, or the Blues
Jeff.
Barbecue Company. And I think the trailer, isn't it right there around the corner from Maggi's Pizza and Subs, right?
No, the trailer is the Damascus and Frederick about 20 minutes apart. 20
minutes apart. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not too far.
But if you're coming from Virginia or from the north, you're passing Frederick to get to Damascus. So it's on the way.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I'm so happy to be back talking to this audience, talking to great people like Mr. Patrick Maggi, U.S. Pizza team member and owner of all these great concepts up there in Maryland. I did want to say or ask you one more thing real quick is what is a positive affirmation that you can give us going into 2021? We're talking about new success with 2020 in the rearview mirror. What do you want to tell the industry? What do you want to tell your brethren out there?
I think if you've been in a brick and mortar, just and struggling, it's going to get better. People are just going to die to come back. Everybody's just dying to get out. When they stopped the restrictions for a little while, I'm sure everybody's business went crazy. So I just hang in there. If you love what you do and that's what it's about, then you definitely will be successful. And there's no reason to turn back.
All right. Well, that's very positive. I mean, we're always looking forward. We're trying to get there. We're going to get there together. So there's no excuse on any of that right there. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this industry through Facebook and all that you guys can call up. And that's what I love about the pizza industry is we're all very willing to give advice, give help, anything like that, or even tell that's a stupid idea. And this is why.
Yeah. If anybody needs any more information or knowledge, I'm happy to share it with them.
Well, yeah, and I did put it up in the comments. They should be clickable links for all the different ways you can get in touch with Patrick or leave comments. If not, you can reach me at brian@pmq.com. Very easy. And I can get you in touch with Patrick. So, but until the next time, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining in. Jim Schuster, Pasquale, all you guys putting up comments and questions. I want to thank my guest, Patrick Maggi. We're going to see you guys next time. But until then, I want you guys to stay safe and stay sane.
See ya.